Greetings, I am Sean Redman, aka the cheesily named Darth Shawn. And this week on Star Wars Rebels, we finally got to the meat of the trailer. That epic trailer with all the Sith and Jedi battles and the artifacts and Darth Maul and Ahsoka and Vader. We started that process this week in Shroud of Darkness. After many episodes focusing on side characters, side missions, different things, and a lot of good episodes in that, we finally get back to the story that we've all been excited for. And that is Ahsoka's path, Kanan and Ezra's path as it results in facing Vader and the Inquisitors in Shroud of Darkness. We open up with Kanan and Ezra fighting two Inquisitors and holding their own. Usual funny banter happening, which it was a good scene. It was cool to see kind of Kanan and Ezra and how they actually have grown. A season ago, they probably wouldn't have held their own against these Inquisitors. They would have struggled, but instead they're holding their own. They're fighting, but also they're looking for a base, and so they're trying to flee and get away. And once they do get away, again, Ezra uses his Jedi animal powers to get them a way out. They decide they need answers. So they turn to Ahsoka, and after some conversation, some talking, and some figuring out, they decide they need to go to a Jedi temple. And so we return to Lothal on the Jedi temple. And that's a lot of this episode is just these people deciding what we need to do and what is the right decision and what is important. All three of these characters go on different paths throughout this. Kanan facing his fears of, it's the same fears he's had for a long time. Should I continue to fight? Can I train Ezra correctly? Am I a Jedi? And we see a lot of that, even from the beginning to the fight, all the way through his path in the end. He goes through these things. Ahsoka is going through her own thing of she knows. And she's in denial, and she knows who Vader is, and trying to figure out, can she face him? Is she willing to face him? And then Ezra's decision, how can I save my friends? I'm going to fight. How can I do this? I need power. And all of them are different archetypes that we have seen in different elements of Star Wars. And it's kind of cool to see it all come together in one episode. When they arrive at the Jedi Temple, they all go their separate paths. They're called their different ways. Kanan goes through a door that isn't really there and sees a temple guard. The guard basically says, I'm going to kill Ezra because he's going to go to the dark side. And Kanan fights that. And we get a really good idea of what Kanan is at this point. Obviously, of all the characters in this, we've had so much on Kanan. We've had now through Rebels, through the Kanan comic, through A New Dawn. We know Kanan so well. And this is basically just kind of that continuing movie and him becoming the Obi-Wan, the Jedi, the one of understanding. But I think he, unlike, say, like an Obi-Wan or even a Yoda, there's this true acceptance. In a lot of ways, he is the Luke of this, because the way he goes, and he fights so hard. He fights this temple guard. He's going to protect Ezra, and he realizes, I can only do the best I can. And he has that moment, Luke in Return of the Jedi, when he says, I'm not going to fight anymore. I'm not going to fight anymore. I know what I have to do, and this is how I have to do. And he has that moment here of realization of, I can't fight it anymore. I'm going to train Ezra the best I can. I'm going to, protect my friends the best I can, and that's all I can do. And it's really quite cool to see that progression of Kanan, because from what we get to the beginnings in the Kanan comics and through A New Dawn and all of those different things, is Kanan is always fighting, always running, always trying to, get away from what he was. And he's kind of fully reached that. And we get to that here when the temple guard, who shockingly is the Grand Inquisitor, knights him and calls him a Jedi Knight. And so we get that really cool element of Kanan coming full circle. Now on the Grand Inquisitor, a lot of people are having wild speculations of what it means. It's pretty much the way I see it is it's a Jedi temple, so a lot of it is a vision. Is he really there? Yes, in that Kanan can really interact with him and really be there. Is that a full-bodied Inquisitor? No, it's probably just like the Inquisitor that Ezra encountered in the temple. Could actually kill him, could actually push him to the limit, but once he learns his lesson, it's a lot of different things. So I don't think the Grand Inquisitor was actually there. However, I do think this is, a temple vision Inquisitor. His mind, it may be using the Force, its actual mind, and I do believe he was a Jedi, as Filoni has hinted that the Grand Inquisitor was in the Clone Wars. So it makes sense he would have been a Jedi probably then, and so we get kind of this confirmation he was a Jedi that moved to the dark side, and now here's his kind of coming out and saying, hey, you know what? You are who I thought you were. You are a Jedi Knight. The second path is Ezra's, as he goes to his space room thing and encounters Yoda. And this is really interesting. Yoda's sitting on a log, clearly from Dagobah, must have his new fancy Jedi iPhone, and he's FaceTiming with him, whatever's going on. But it's very interesting how Yoda is actually physically there, and Ezra is physically there, and they are communicating. It's an interesting thing because I don't think we've really seen something like this. Obviously, we've seen visions. We've seen people come here. Yoda has talked to Ezra before. But it's the first time we've seen them come together in this way. And it's really interesting because this is a very different Yoda. This isn't prequel Yoda who's, warning and fighting. This isn't Clone War Yoda who's also, still fighting but realizing a lot of things. And this isn't original trilogy Yoda, who has kind of got that wisdom and still, understanding his ways and trying to train. This is kind of the in-between Yoda. This is Yoda who is kind of defeated. There's a defeated attitude of him, kind of similar to what we've seen in a few of the what Obi-Wan was like on Tatooine. Was I did my way and I lost. The Emperor won, Vader rose, the Jedi died. And there's that interesting aspect of there's this kind of defeated Yoda, but also a more at peace Yoda. As Ezra, is like, we have to fight. We have to fight to protect our friends. We have to, I have to fight. We've made our choice. And he's like, okay, you fight, kind of thing. And it's very interesting how we get this kind of toned down Yoda, but we're seeing that wisdom grow in Yoda, and we can see how the Yoda from by the end of Revenge of the Sith has becoming the Yoda that we see in Empire Strikes Back. And there's a lot of that. He's ready. You can see that he's ready to kind of be that more, training Yoda. And even we see that in, when he tells Luke, like, you're not ready to fight Vader. Don't protect your friends, type of thing. You have to stay and train. There's kind of that element of Yoda here is like, you're going to die if you continue pushing forward. You're going to fight, and Ezra fights with him, and we battle, kind of this, and not really anger, but this fear. And we see that Yoda has this fear. And when they move forward, eventually Yoda says, you need to go find Malachor, which is the place where we assume we're going to meet Darth Maul. The final path taken was the shortest, but also I feel like the most important for this episode, and kind of how this season is going, and that is Ahsoka's acceptance. Pretty sure we have early on Ahsoka in this episode is watching old Anakin training videos. They're like Anakin basically, how to hold your saber, how to use this technique, how to do these sort of things. And it turns out Ezra's been watching them, which kind of makes sense why Ezra has progressed a lot, is, he's training and watching a lot of the old stuff that he can. But we get this, as Ahsoka's talking about Anakin, you can just hear it in her voice. You can see it in her eye. You're like, I know. I'm denying it, but I know that he's Vader. And we get this moment in the temple where, Anakin, she hears Anakin pleading to him and do you know what I've become? What have it's your fault, in a lot of ways. Kind of this blame on her, look what I've become. And you see Vader and you see Ahsoka, that final realization, that understanding. I have to face him now. Kind of that realization is, You know, this is my master. This monster, this terror is my master. This person I loved, and that full realization. And Ashley Eckstein, who plays Ahsoka, does such a great job with the voice. She's been more of a toned down Ahsoka in Rebels, and you just get that emotion on there, that sadness, that hurt, that pain, just the way she says different things, and as she turns and attacks, you know, the shroud of Vader behind her. It's all very emotional and very well done, both by Eckstein and also just the animators do a great job of just portraying how hurt Ahsoka is. And then we get a really interesting little moment with Ahsoka at the end as they're fleeing the temple. The Inquisitors are in. They flee the temple, and Ahsoka turns around and sees Yoda, and Yoda just puts his hand up, and she does that. And there's kind of that, I think, that peace that Ahsoka gets in this is a piece of understanding. I know my path now. It's not easy. It's going to be hard. I don't want to face Anakin. I don't want to see what he's become, but I know I have to. I know I have to, you know, at least try. You know, I guarantee she's going to try to reach him, try to turn him. And as we know, it's going to fail because, well, Vader doesn't turn till later. And it's just great to see kind of this growth of Ahsoka, who is a character that is just really from beginning of the terrible Clone Wars movie to through Clone Wars into now is probably one of the most fleshed out Star Wars characters we've gotten, just in growth from being an annoying character to just a really great character and central in just the Star Wars story, and it's really great to see what they've done with her. In the end, this episode was very interesting. As far as just a straightforward episode goes, I feel like it didn't, like, you know, it was a lot packed into one episode. There wasn't as much, you know, up and downs of it, but it gave us a lot of very interesting information, a lot of stuff that I think we are going to, you know, need, not just in Rebels going forward, but just as a Star Wars fan and understanding it. Heck, didn't even really talk much about it hinting, but it seems like Ahsoka was there during Revenge of the Sith and encountered Anakin. They hint at something like that the last time when Ahsoka left the Jedi Temple, that was not actually the last time she saw Anakin, that they met again. That's interesting how they're going to flesh that out. We have hints at Ezra going dark. We have hints going forward of, you know, what's going to happen on Malachor. Kylo Ren's lightsaber in the visual dictionary, it talks about that his lightsaber was forged on Malachor, which makes sense because we've seen that in the trailer that Ezra's going to hold that similar lightsaber. So how that's going to tie in. So we're moving forward in this season. The Rebels takes a week off, no episode next week, and then we come back with a Chopper episode. So 3 weeks till we really get more answers. Not going to write off the Chopper episode, but after this, you're kind of like, all right, give me more. But then we're gonna hit the final 3 episodes running. Vader's back. We're gonna see Maul. We're gonna see this lightsaber. We're gonna see where they take this show, and I'm really excited to see where it goes. So what did you guys think? I assume most people love this episode because I've been seeing so much clamoring for the trailer stuff online. So I assume this was a loved episode. But if you didn't like it, let me know in the comments below. What do you want to happen in these finales after this Chopper episode in 2 weeks? Let me know. As always, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and I am Shawn Rebman, aka the cheesily named Darth Shawn, and may the Force be with you. Always.